But it's now time for the Great British Debate this hour, and I'm asking, are you warming to Rishi Sunak? Environmentalists are grinding their teeth once again, and Rishi Sunak is believed to be preparing to use his party's 60-seat majority, it's come down from 80, hasn't it, or 84 or whatever it was, to scrap the nutrient neutrality rules to build 140,000 new homes. Hallelujah, say some. Now, this comes only days after his net zero speech, setting out his plans to delay his targets for petrol and diesel cars. But it's not just net zero. The Prime Minister is also drawing up plans to slash one of the most hated taxes in Britain. Yes, according to the Sunday Times, inheritance tax might well be scrapped. The tax will reportedly be reformed and eventually abolished. That also comes as Rishi Sunak is set to keep the triple lock on pensions despite the staggering costs of the measure. And finally, a year into the job, Rishi has finally caught the reforming zeal and looks ready to take the fight to Labour whenever the next election is. But is it too late? So for the Great British Debate this hour, I'm asking, are you warming to Rishi? Well, I'm joined now by Ben Habib, former Brexit Party MEP, Peter Edwards, former editor of the Labour List, Paul Embry, trade unionist and also broadcaster, Lettuce Bromiski, and political commentator. So where are they? We'll start with, we usually have a nice little box with 4 of them. Right, there we go, that's better. I can talk to you now. Right, I'm going to start with Lettuce. What do you think?
Look, I have a lot of respect for Rishi and what he's managed to achieve over this past year. You know, I think he was underestimated at the start through the leadership election. But ultimately, what I'm seeing at the moment is that none of his policies are aimed at the younger generation. From the past week and the tsunami of policy proposals we've seen, the triple lock being secured, inheritance tax, watering down net zero, it's not only the younger generation. So I can't really be warming to Rishi Sunak when there's nothing that's appealing towards me.
OK, fair enough. Paul Embry.
Well, I think the next election is not done yet, Nana, despite what a lot of people have been saying. I don't think this is a 1997 moment where it was clear in the months and years leading up to that election that the Tories were toast and that the Labour Party were going to win. I think things are much more in the balance. And I genuinely think that the election will be won or lost according to who wins the Red Wall. Now, there's no doubt that the Tories have alienated millions of voters in the Red Wall. The people, many of them who voted Tory for the first time in 2019 and feel betrayed by the Tory party on things like immigration and crime and levelling up wages, the cost of living crisis and so on. But I think what Sunak has done over the last couple of weeks, particularly with net zero, because that's going to have a big effect on ordinary working class people, that will play well, I think, in Red Wall constituencies. If inflation continues to come down, if he makes people feel a little bit more prosperous, and potentially if he deals with the school bonus issue, no sign of him doing that anytime soon, but if he does, then I think things could be a lot closer in the election next year than many people realise.
OK, Peter Edwards.
I think Rishi Sunak is a pleasant chap, and I think he works very hard in what he thinks are the best interests of the country. But to me, he looks lost, he looks rudderless, he looks driven by his backbenchers. And the story that Number 10 seemed to have briefed out this weekend about potentially cutting IHT shows how lost he is, you know.
Inheritance tax.
Yeah, more than 90% of people don't pay inheritance tax. So it looks like the Tories, and I think it is out of desperation, are flirting with the idea for the tax cut for the richest 6 or 8% of society. So I think he's lost.
Well, you say that, but I think the actual level of... Because houses have become more sort of... They've gone up in value. I think
but the threshold...
Yeah, but the percentage will be higher because the houses have gone up substantially because of inflation. Ben Habib.
I'm not warming to Rishi Sunak. I don't think the changes he's made to internal combustion engines being banned in 2035 and oil gas boilers or oil-fired up boilers in 2035 is really going to make a difference to the consumer, because all the regulatory steps required to make those 2 items prohibitively expensive between now and 2030 remain in place. So you will see the government bearing down on the use of those 2 items between now and 2030 anyway, and you're going to see massive inflation in the cost of internal combustion engines as well as oil-fired boilers. So I think it's a falsity that by delaying the ban by 5 years, he's actually taken the knee off the neck of the consumer.
Well,
and the real problem I'm not warming to him, the real reason I'm not warming to him, is because he is still practising a whole set of policies that are damaging this country's economy. And I agree with Peter on the inheritance tax issue. Only 3.7%.
Finally.
I know, it's a very rare form of agreement. But he's also more or less got his facts right. Only 3.7% of people who die pay that tax. And while it's an iniquitous tax, actually what he should be cutting is tax on the working and middle classes.
But hang on, but it's still it's just not fair, though, is it? A lot of people think, why should you have to pay all
Oh, it's a completely wrong tax.
So it's the principle of it.
Yeah.
Let's, I want to come back to you. So Keir Starmer has talked about 16 to 17-year-olds getting the vote and younger people being involved in politics in that respect. Does that make you warm to Sir Keir Starmer, then?
No, I don't think 16 and 17-year-olds should get the vote. I don't think that's something that should go through. I think that you are too young, ultimately, at 16 years old and 17 years old to have the vote, and there needs to be a cut-off point. But I think that the Conservatives seem to have disregarded the younger generation in so many things. There are so many areas, and hopefully at conference coming up, there will be some more policy bombs dropped that will come through. But there's been so many ifs and buts. And there was on the front page of the Telegraph about 140,000 new houses will be built. When? They failed to come through on the 200,000 houses being built. The younger generation and millennials as well are swamped with awful rent at the moment, terrible housing, and they just haven't delivered on it with that.
Well, listen, I'm going to have to stop it there because your line's a little bit shaky, as is yours, Paul, sadly. But Lettuce Babisky, thank you very much, as well as Paul Embry, Peter Edwards and Ben Habib. Good to talk to you. Thank you for your views